On this day, January 8th, Thursday, a day written not only on our calendars, but in the scrolls of eternity, there is a message waiting for you, a message not born from coincidence, nor shaped by chance, but sent from the very heart of God. For some, this day may look ordinary, sunrise, routine, familiar footsteps. But in the realm of the Spirit, this day carries a divine appointment, a whisper from heaven, a door that is opened, a word that has descended. And so, hear me, God has sent a good message. Now open it. For a message unopened is a blessing undiscovered, a miracle unclaimed, a breakthrough still sleeping. But today, this moment, you are being called to awaken, to step into what God has set apart for you. For when God sends a message, it is never small. It carries purpose, it carries destiny, it carries power. And today, that message is reaching for you. There are days that appear ordinary on the surface, days we pass through without pause, days that carry no special weight in our memory, days that seem to simply arrive and then depart. And yet, there are also days in which the veil thins, in which the natural world becomes a doorway to something higher, in which the simple date on the calendar becomes a vessel for something sent from above. January 8th, a Thursday, may seem to some like any other chapter in the week's unfolding, but in the eyes of heaven, it carries a message. Not a message that is loud or forced or wrapped in spectacle, but one woven in divine intention. A good message sent to you, waiting for you, calling for you to open it now. For in the designs of God, it is often the quietest moments that carry the greatest meaning, the ones we overlook that hold the very treasures meant to transform us. And so this day stands before you not as a coincidence, but as a divine delivery, arriving precisely on time, arriving with purpose, arriving with your name upon it. From the beginning of time, God has chosen to speak in ways that invite us to listen. He speaks in whispers so that we must draw near. He speaks through timing so that we learn to trust. He speaks through seasons so that we understand that nothing is random. January 8th is not the first time He has marked a day for someone, and it will not be the last, for He weaves His messages through the tapestry of our days. But today, this Thursday carries something specific, something timely, something meant for the very moment you find yourself in. Perhaps you have been searching. Perhaps you have felt the stillness of unanswered questions. Perhaps you have wondered whether heaven has heard your prayers. But the truth is that God sends His messages not according to our clocks or calendars, but according to His perfect knowledge of what we need and when we need it. And when He chooses to send a message labeled good, it is because something good is being stirred in the unseen realm. There are people who walk through life unaware that heaven has spoken. They pass by the signs, the nudges, the gentle shifts in their spirit. They overlook the timing, the alignment, the sudden sense of clarity or conviction that appears unexpectedly. But you are not called to overlook, you are called to open. For a message sent from God is not meant to remain sealed. It is meant to be received, recognized, embraced. It is meant to be the spark that ignites a new direction, the whisper that breaks the silence, the key that unlocks a door long closed. God does not send empty messages. He sends living words, words that breathe, words that move, words that reveal. And this January 8th message, this Thursday message, is one of goodness, goodness prepared, goodness released, goodness intended for you. When God speaks into a day, that day becomes set apart. It becomes holy ground disguised in the ordinary. It becomes a moment in which the eternal steps into the present. And so you must approach this day not casually, but attentively, for the message sent to you is one that carries weight, significance, and divine timing. It comes not from human origin, not from fleeting inspiration, but from the one who formed the heavens and the earth, the one who shapes destinies, the one who knows the end from the beginning. And if He has placed a message in this day, it is because He knows exactly what this moment of your life requires. Perhaps strength, perhaps direction, perhaps healing, perhaps reassurance, perhaps a stirring of purpose that has been dormant within you. Whatever it is, the message carries what you need. and it waits for you to open it. There are messages that comfort, messages that confront, messages that awaken, and messages that call us higher. And though you may not yet know the full depth of what God is saying to you on this day, you can know with certainty that it is good. For when God declares something good, it is not shallow or temporary. His goodness is not like human goodness, which rises and falls with emotion or circumstance. His goodness is rooted in His very nature. And so a message sent from Him, marked by His goodness, carries the assurance that it will not harm you, disappoint you, or mislead you. It will guide you, strengthen you, prepare you, and draw you into alignment with the path He has set before you. This day, this Thursday, is your invitation to step into that alignment. Often, the greatest challenge is not hearing God, but recognizing when He is speaking. We wait for thunder when He whispers. We expect signs in the sky when He places signs in the rhythm of our days. We look for the dramatic while overlooking the divine woven into the ordinary. But God does not hide His messages to frustrate you. He hides them so that you will seek Him. Not because He is distant, but because intimacy is born in the seeking. And so this message on January 8th is not hidden from you. It is hidden for you. It is designed to draw you closer, to pull your spirit into awareness, to awaken your heart to the reality that God is still speaking, still guiding, still reaching toward you. The message is good, but the goodness becomes revealed only when you choose to open it. There are seasons when you walk through shadows, seasons when uncertainty surrounds you, seasons when you question whether purpose has slipped through your fingers. But God chooses moments precisely like these to send messages that realign you, messages that remind you that He has never left, messages that bring light into the dim places of your life. And January 8th is one such moment, a moment in which God breaks through the noise, clears the fog, and places a word before you that says, there is more ahead, there is goodness unfolding, there is purpose rising. The circumstances around you may not yet reflect it, but the message has already been sent. And when God sends a message, its fulfillment is not a matter of if, but of when. The opening of a divine message is an act of faith. It is the willingness to believe that God has something to say to you, personally, intentionally, lovingly. It is the recognition that your life is not random, your days are not empty, and your journey is not without direction. It is the acknowledgement that heaven has taken notice of you. When you open a message from God, you are opening the door to transformation. You are allowing His voice to shift your perspective, His truth to reshape your understanding, His presence to satisfy your spirit. And so the call before you is simple. Open it now. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. For delay can cause you to miss the timing, and timing is often the key to revelation. January 8th carries a rhythm, a pulse, a spiritual significance that may not have been visible to you at first glance. But as you open your heart to receive the message God has sent, the significance becomes clear. You begin to see the alignment of events, the threads of circumstance, the whispers in your spirit that have been quietly guiding you to this moment. You begin to see that what seemed like an ordinary Thursday is in fact a turning point, a divine intersection where God meets you with a word designed to lift you, strengthen you, and propel you forward. And when you embrace this message, you step into a new dimension of your journey, one filled with clarity, direction, and renewed purpose. A message from God is never neutral. It carries power. It carries intention. It carries destiny. When He speaks, something in the unseen begins to move. When He speaks, the atmosphere shifts. When He speaks, chains loosen, doors open, paths clear, and hearts awaken. And the message sent to you on this day carries that same power. It carries the potential to reshape your outlook, redirect your steps, and revive the parts of you that have grown weary or silent. It carries the ability to break through confusion, silence fear, and stir boldness within you. But none of this can unfold until you open the message. Many people long for breakthrough, yet walk past the messages that contain the keys to their breakthrough. Many long for change, yet do not pause long enough to receive the word that would ignite that change. Many long for purpose, yet overlook the divine appointments hidden in the simplicity of their days. But you are being called to a higher awareness, to a deeper level of spiritual attentiveness. You are being invited to recognize that this Thursday is not like the others. It has been marked for you. It has been infused with intention, and the message sent within it is good. Good in its source, good in its timing, good in its purpose. To open the message means to open your heart, to open your expectations, to open your willingness to let God speak into your life. It means choosing not to be distracted by the noise of the world, not to be consumed by the weight of routine, not to be blinded by the familiarity of the day. It means standing still long enough to sense the presence of God woven into the quiet moments. It means receiving what He has prepared, even if you do not yet fully understand it. For understanding often comes after obedience, not before. This day, January 8th, carries a message of goodness, and though goodness may appear simple on the surface, divine goodness is profound. It does not merely lift your mood, it reshapes your life. It does not merely comfort, it empowers. It does not merely reassure, it awakens destiny. And the message sent to you, Toda. Why carries this awakening? It calls you to rise above discouragement, above doubt, above the limitations you have accepted. It calls you to realign with the vision God placed within you, the vision that may have dimmed but never died. It calls you to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. Open it now. A message unopened is a destiny undiscovered. These words are not merely poetic. They describe the spiritual reality that governs every life on this earth. For God is continually sending messages, continually arranging moments, continually placing signs, whispers, and directions upon the path of every person. Yet the effect of those messages depends not on their delivery, but on our willingness to open them. Something extraordinary can sit before you, something that carries the power to reshape your life, realign your purpose, or awaken the very core of who you are, and yet it can remain untouched, unreceived, unseen. The unopened message becomes the unclaimed future. The unopened message becomes the unrealized calling. The unopened message becomes the story that was meant to unfold, but instead waits silently in the margins of your life, hoping you will one day reach for it. For destiny does not impose itself, it invites. And an invitation unopened is a journey unbegun. There are people who live entire lifetimes without opening the message God crafted for them. They move through their days, believing life is random, believing the ordinary is all there is, believing the path before them is merely the product of circumstances. Yet the truth is that every person is born with divine intention woven into their being. They carry within them potential shaped by the hand of God, potential that is unlocked not through striving, but through revelation. And revelation comes through the messages He sends. Sometimes they arrive gently, a stirring in the heart, an unexpected moment of clarity, a sudden sense that something is shifting within. Sometimes they arrive more forcefully, a crisis that breaks old patterns, an event that awakens deeper questions, a moment that calls you to rise when you would prefer to remain still. But whether gentle or forceful, every divine message carries a purpose. And when it remains unopened, the purpose remains untouched, and the life that could be lived remains only a possibility. Imagine a sealed letter delivered directly to your hands by the King of all creation. Inside it lies the blueprint of who you truly are, the gifts you have been given, the steps you were meant to walk, the strength you do not yet know you possess. It contains the truth about your identity, the direction for your journey, and the reassurance that heaven has not forgotten you. But if you place that letter aside, if you say you will read it later, if you allow fear, distraction, or doubt to keep you from opening it, then everything inside it remains hidden. Its power remains dormant. Its beauty remains concealed. And you continue to walk forward without the revelation that was meant to guide you. The unopened message becomes the silent witness of a destiny postponed. It waits with patience, yet carries a weight that grows heavier with time, because the longer it remains sealed, the more you feel the absence of what you were meant to know, meant to be, meant to do. Some people do not open God's message because they assume they already know its contents. They assume the message will challenge them, ask something of them, call them away from comfort, or push them into unfamiliar territory. And indeed, divine messages often do call for movement, for change, for courage, but they also carry something far greater, the assurance that you are not walking alone, the promise that purpose is unfolding, the revelation that you were created for more than you have accepted. The message may call you higher, but it also equips you. It may stretch you, but it also strengthens you. It may confront you, but it also liberates you. Yet if you never open it, you remain bound by what you know instead of awakened by what God knows. You remain limited by your own understanding instead of expanded by His. You remain tied to the familiar instead of stepping into the extraordinary. A destiny undiscovered is not a destiny denied. It is a destiny waiting. It is like a seed placed in the soil of your spirit, a seed filled with potential, beauty, and purpose, yet unable to grow until you uncover what God placed within it. When a seed remains unplanted, nothing in its outward appearance reveals the greatness hidden inside. It looks ordinary. It looks insignificant. It looks lifeless. And yet beneath the surface, it carries forests, fruit, shade, and growth. So too does your unopened message carry far more than you can see. It carries the future you were designed for. It carries the strength you have not yet awakened to. It carries the courage you will need for the road ahead. But until you open what God has given, the seed remains still, the destiny remains silent, and the calling remains waiting for the moment you finally look within. There are whispers inside your spirit that you have ignored for too long. Whispers that arrived at unexpected times, moments when you felt a sudden pull towards something more, moments when you sensed you were meant for greater purpose, moments when a quiet voice within urged you to rise, move, or change. These whispers were not passing thoughts, they were messages. They were seeds of destiny sent from above. But because life became busy, because fear pressed in, because doubt clouded your vision, you placed the message aside, convincing yourself you would return to it later, yet later never came. And the unopened message waited, still carrying the same power, still carrying the same truth, still carrying the same divine intention, hoping you would one day recognize the importance of what was sent to you. There are also moments when God speaks through circumstances. Something aligns unexpectedly. A door closes that you thought would remain open. Another door opens that you never anticipated. A person enters your life carrying words that resonate more deeply than they should. A situation unfolds that seems too purposeful to be random. These are messages too, but if you do not pause long enough to reflect, if you do not look beneath the surface, you may dismiss the message as coincidence. Yet nothing in a believer's life is merely coincidence. God speaks through patterns, through timing, through events that reflect His orchestration. But if you never open the message hidden inside those moments, you walk past the very revelation meant to guide your next step. Fear is one of the greatest reasons people leave divine messages unopened. Fear of what the message might require. Fear of the change it might bring. Fear that receiving the message will expose the gap between who you are and who you are meant to become. But fear is a lie designed to keep you from your destiny. For the message God sends is good, always good. It may challenge, but it does not harm. It may correct, but it does not condemn. It may stretch you, but it does not break you. The message is designed to lift you from what binds you, to redirect you from what distracts you, to call you into what fulfills you. But if fear keeps you from opening it, then fear becomes the thief of destiny. Fear becomes the barrier between the life you have settled for and the life God has prepared for you. There are people who stand on the threshold of transformation, but never step through because they will not open the message that carries the key. They sense something inside them longing for more. They feel an inner pull toward growth, toward purpose, toward a new chapter. But instead of opening the message, they turn back to the familiar, to the predictable, to the comfortable. And so the message remains sealed and the transformation remains incomplete. The tragedy is not that God did not speak. The tragedy is that His message was never opened. And so the person continues living in a lesser version of themselves, not because destiny was withheld, but because destiny was unopened. Every message God sends carries the power to shift something inside you. It may shift your perspective. It may shift your understanding of yourself. It may shift the direction of your steps. It may shift the rhythm of your days. But unless you receive the message, the shift never happens. You remain where you are, even though God has prepared a path for you to move forward. You remain stuck in old patterns, even though new revelations have been delivered to your spirit. You remain bound by former limitations, even though the message in your hands contains the truth that would set you free. The unopened message becomes the unopened door. There is something God has been trying to tell you, something He has been whispering in quiet moments, something He has been placing in your heart again and again. You have felt it. You have sensed it. You have even suspected that it might be God. But you have not yet opened it fully. You have not embraced it. You have not leaned into it. The message remains half seen, half felt, half acknowledged. And because it is only half opened, the destiny tied to is only half lived. But the fullness of your calling requires the fullness of your reception. There is a version of your life that you have not yet stepped into. A version filled with purpose, clarity, and strength. A version in which you walk with confidence rather than hesitation. A version in which you rise above the patterns that once held you captive. A version in which you live with intention, guided by the messages God sent long ago, but which you never opened. That version of your life is not imaginary, it is waiting. It is tied directly to the message you have yet to embrace. If you open the message, you will discover that God's voice has been guiding you all along. You will see how the pieces fit together. You will understand why certain seasons felt heavy and why certain moments felt orchestrated. You will recognize that the message has been arriving in fragments for years and that today is the day you finally open it fully. The unopened message has waited long enough. Your destiny has waited long enough. The time has come to break the seal. When God speaks, His word carries both revelation and responsibility. It is never empty, never casual, never without purpose. When the voice of heaven enters the realm of your life, it brings with it both the unveiling of truth and the calling to respond. Revelation shows you what God sees, what God knows, what God intends. Responsibility is the invitation to align your steps, your choices, your actions with what He has revealed. This is the divine pattern woven throughout the history of those who walk with God. Every message from Him is both a gift and a call. It enlightens the mind, awakens the heart, strengthens the spirit, and yet also summons you to walk differently, think differently, live differently. And in this reality lies the weight and the wonder of what happens when God speaks. When God releases a word into your life, He is not merely giving you information, He is giving you illumination. He is opening a window into a higher perspective, a divine vantage point that you cannot reach through human reasoning alone. This is revelation. Revelation reveals what was hidden. It exposes what you could not see. It uncovers what lies beneath the surface of your circumstances. It reveals purpose where you only saw confusion, direction where you only saw uncertainty, truth where you only saw shadows. But revelation alone is not meant to simply inspire you. It is meant to transform you. And transformation requires response. It requires responsibility. It requires aligning yourself with the truth that has been made known. God never speaks without intention. When He speaks, something shifts. When He speaks, He is preparing you for something ahead. When He speaks, He is steering you toward a path you may not yet understand. And this is why His word carries responsibility. To receive revelation without taking responsibility is to stand in the doorway of transformation, but never step through. It is to hear the call but ignore the journey. It is to glimpse the promise but refuse the process. Many people receive revelation. They sense God speaking, they feel His guidance, they recognize His prompting, but they do not take responsibility for what He has shown them. They admire the revelation, appreciate the revelation, even talk about the revelation, but they do not act upon it. And so the revelation remains theoretical instead of becoming transformational. Responsibility is the earthly response to a heavenly word. It is the act of aligning your life with what God has spoken. It is the decision to walk in the direction God has revealed, even when the path is unfamiliar. It is the willingness to shift your priorities, your habits, your decisions according to the truth unveiled by the message He has given. Revelation shines the light, but responsibility walks in it. Revelation exposes the path, but responsibility takes the steps. Revelation opens your eyes, but responsibility opens your future. When God speaks, His message carries a power that human words cannot imitate. His word carries depth, authority, and life. It reaches into the hidden corners of your spirit. It awakens things you didn't know were sleeping. It answers questions you didn't know how to ask. It breathes into places that have grown weary or silent. It stirs thoughts, convictions, and desires that align you with who you were created to be. That is revelation. But the impact of that revelation becomes fully realized only when you take responsibility for the light He has given. The message may come from God, but the response must come from you. There is a reason God's word comes with both revelation and responsibility. Revelation without responsibility leads to stagnation. Responsibility without revelation leads to striving. God gives both so that you can walk in purpose with clarity, confidence, and divine alignment. If all you had was revelation, you would see what God intends but never step into it. If all you had was responsibility, you would spend your life attempting to fulfill a calling you have no spiritual insight into. But when the two come together, something powerful happens. Revelation fuels responsibility. Responsibility fulfills revelation. Together, they release destiny. When God speaks, He is calling you to come higher, to rise above what has held you down, to step beyond what has limited you, to see beyond the boundaries you once accepted. Revelation shows you that higher place. Responsibility guides you to walk toward it. But many hesitate because responsibility often requires change, courage, and sacrifice. It requires letting go of what is comfortable, familiar, or predictable. It requires stepping into the unknown with trust. And yet, every revelation God gives is an invitation to trust Him. Responsibility is the proof of that trust. When God reveals something to you, whether a truth, a direction, a warning, or a promise, you are now accountable for that revelation. Not in a burdensome way, but in a transformational way. For the revelation was meant for your freedom, your growth, your purpose. Responsibility is simply the agreement to walk with the light you have been given. If God shows you a path, responsibility is taking the first step. If God exposes a lie you believed about yourself, responsibility is choosing to reject that lie. If God reveals a gift within you, responsibility is choosing to develop it. If God reveals a calling, responsibility is saying yes. The moment revelation arrives, responsibility follows, because revelation is not merely to be admired, it is to be acted upon. When God speaks, He releases truth into your life that has the power to break chains, to heal wounds, to lift burdens, to awaken hope. But responsibility means choosing to live as though the truth is true. For example, if God reveals that you are not alone, responsibility means living with the confidence of His presence. If God reveals that you are forgiven, responsibility means letting go of the guilt you have carried. If God reveals that He has a purpose for you, responsibility means stepping into that purpose even when you feel unready. Revelation shows you what God has already done. Responsibility is your decision to step into alignment with it. There are moments when God reveals a direction you are meant to take, a door you are meant to walk through, a chapter you are meant to end or begin, a relationship you are meant to step into or walk away from. This is revelation. But the fulfillment of that revelation depends on your willingness to take responsibility for the direction He has shown you. Many remain in seasons they were meant to leave because they admired the revelation but never acted on it. Others delay blessings they were meant to receive because they recognized the message but refused to take the step it required. Revelation is divine instruction. Responsibility is earthly participation. God's word carries not just wisdom, but timing. When He speaks with knowledge of where you are and where you are going. Responsibility means trusting that timing, even when it does not match your own expectations. Some people lose the power of revelation because they delay responsibility. They hear what God is saying, they understand it, they even believe it, but they postpone their response. And delayed responsibility often weakens the power of revelation. God's messages arrive with divine timing. And responsibility means responding within that timing. When God stirs, or heart, when God prompts your spirit, when God reveals something to you, it is because the moment is ripe. Responsibility means answering His voice while the door is still open. There are also moments when God reveals something uncomfortable, something about your character, your patterns, your choices. Revelation exposes what needs to be changed, healed, or surrendered. Responsibility is the willingness to confront it. It is the courage to uproot unhealthy habits, to break cycles that have limited you, to admit truth where denial once lived. God does not reveal such things to shame you. He reveals them to free you. But freedom requires responsibility. You cannot be transformed. By revelation, you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot be renewed by truth. You refuse to embrace. The power of God's word is fully activated only when responsibility meets revelation. When God speaks, He also reveals the potential He placed inside you. Potential you may have ignored, potential you may have underestimated, potential you may have doubted. Revelation reminds you of what God knows about you, your strength, your gifting, your purpose, but responsibility is the choice to develop what He reveals. If God shows you that you carry leadership, responsibility is choosing to lead. If He reveals creativity, responsibility is choosing to create. If He reveals compassion, responsibility is choosing to act upon it. Determination, discipline, courage, these are the expressions of responsibility that bring revelation to life. There are moments when God's word comes to